Today, Francis Ngannou is upset that Tyson Fury has booked another fight. Is this Tyson overlooking Francis? Or will Francis take the L that we all feel he will take? And Sugar Sean O'Malley, who is he going to fight next? Will it be Cheeto? Will it be a rematch with Aljo? Or will it be Marab? And why was he making so many strange breathing noises on the Joe Rogan podcast? And what about Tony Ferguson, who is continuing to talk a good game, but it just looks sad in the octagon? Find out all of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. Let's go. What's up? What's happening? We back, right back at it, right back with ya. That's right, I said with ya. Let's get off into it. We're starting off first with Francis Ngannou is upset. This actually happened more towards the end of last week or over the weekend, but Tyson Fury has now booked roughly about 3 months after his fight with Francis Ngannou against Alexander Usyk, which is the match or the bout that everyone really wanted Tyson Fury to have for a chance to try to unify all of the heavyweight championships. So he's booked this fight for later this year. However, he's still got to fight with Francis Ngannou. Now, this is what's interesting. This is what I was speaking about at the top of the show. Francis Ngannou is upset by this. You know, he feels like he's being overlooked by Tyson Fury. He can't understand it, so on and so forth. Look, let's just look. Come on, man. Let's just be real. It's like we all love Big Francis. We all want to see him do well. You know, we all cheered for him when he got to the bag, so to speak, even though he went a roundabout way of doing it. We have no idea who he's going to fight in the PFL, and the PFL don't really know either. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to Francis, and if you watch him on the Joe Rogan podcast, Francis Ngannou, I believe, still isn't quite understanding what I believe the rest of the world already understood. And that is, bro, this is a cash grab for you. This is a chance for you to make a lot of money fighting in a boxing match or boxing bout, whatever you want to label it as. That's what it is, though. We're not under the assumption that you're going to go out there and actually beat Tyson Fury. You could tell by Joe Rogan's line of questioning, he was trying to lead Francis to, like, you know, what boxers are you working with? Who have you flown in? Who are you doing? And Francis is just like, you know, just not getting it. You know, he's just not getting it. He's talking about vibes and how you got to vibe with training partners and do this and do that. Bro, that's all fine and good for MMA. But this is not only boxing, this is world class, tip top of the heavyweight division, will go down as one of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all time, Tyson Fury. Okay? This is a total different story. I know you flew in Mike Tyson, you got Tyson, but even Ngannou alluded to, Tyson is not there all the time, you know. So I know you flew in Mike Tyson and, you know, he's supposed to help you train. But at the end of the day, man, this is like the Matrix and, you know, Agent Smith. This is the inevitable. You know what I mean? Like, you can't avoid it. Just be happy you're getting this tremendous payday. Go out there and try to do your best. But, bro, we are not under the assumptions at all that you're going to go out there and win. Now, if you granted you have a chance, you got that knockout power, so on and so forth. But you're not bringing anything in there that Tyson Fury hasn't seen. And if you've seen the recent training footage of Francis, you can tell, bro, he's stiff. He's not fluidly punching, as well as he's got like the tape on his shoulders and stuff. He even mentioned in the Joe Rogan podcast that his shoulders been aching. They're getting tired from all the nonstop punching. Bro, that's just what this is. So yeah, Tyson Fury is not going to miss out on the chance. He's already, he already should have fought Usyk, or he should have already have been training for Usyk. So it's like he's not going to miss out on this chance to unify all of the heavyweight titles because he's fighting you. And, Francis is like, well, I brought in more opponent. Stop, bro. Just stop. Just stop. Like, you should have bro, you should have hired Teddy Atlas. You need Mike Tyson. You need every trainer that you can get. You know what I'm saying? You need all the boxing training. You should have been learning Philly shell. You should have been learning everything. Like, you need it all if you're going to go in there and face Tyson Fury. Because, he's fought big punchers. He's fought guys that can move. It just is what it is, man. And you're not going to be able to move to the level of boxers that he's already fought. And you're not going to bring power in there that he hasn't already seen or felt via Deontay Wilder, in which he got laid out and rose up from the dead like the Undertaker. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I feel kind of bad for Francis because this is affecting him. He seemed to be a little bit perturbed. Tremendous word for a guy from Kentucky to use. Over Tyson Fury signing this next fight, but it just is what it is. Let's move on. Let's go over to Sean O'Malley. So Sugar Sean O'Malley was just on Joe Rogan's podcast last week, the Joe Rogan Experience, and he's on there, and he's got his trainer Tim with him. They're on there talking. Now, on a funny side note, I would just like to say, I don't know what Sean O'Malley smoked. I don't know if he did shrooms. I don't know what he did. But his breathing was so erratic and weird. It was like everything Joe Rogan would say. He'd be like, yeah, I wake up every morning and eat 25 pounds of elk meat. Oh, man, that sounds good. Like, why did Sean O'Malley keep breathing like that on the microphone? And he was just losing it constantly throughout the entire podcast. Joe Rogan's like, I do this much time on the Aerodyne bike. Oh, yeah, that sounds so good. The Aerodyne bike is so good. And you're like, bro, chill out. Like, I don't know what he was on or what was going on, but don't take it again. Don't do it again. All right, not on the podcast. Like, we don't need to keep hearing you breathing all hard and just like going off about the most basic things. Like, you didn't know Joe Rogan eats like 50 pounds of elk meat a day? Like, come on, bro. Like, you ain't never watched the show before? You've been on the show like 2 or 3 times. The man eats elk meat. He's going to train. It's just what it is. Don't be on there, that sounds so good. Stop. Nevertheless, back to the point of this. So Sean O'Malley basically is alluding to the UFC is working to set up, he's going to headline an event where he more than likely is going to defend his title against Cheeto Vera. Now, that's what I believe everyone knows is going to happen. It's just not going to happen in December like he wanted. The little rumblings is going around the MMA world. It's probably going to be in February. But nevertheless, that's pretty much the fight we all know the UFC is leaning toward making. Cheeto has already beaten Sean O'Malley, so they already got the B-roll for all of the promotion, all of the videos of Cheeto and Sean O'Malley previously, as well as this is definitely an opponent at the top of the bantamweight division that Sean O'Malley can go out there and beat. I'm not saying that he will beat him, but looking at Cheeto's last couple of fights, it's one. Looking at his last couple of fights, it just boils down to, bro, like, if you try to take all of those shots and walk through them from Sean O'Malley like you have against your previous opponents, Cheeto will get slept. And I say that as a Cheeto fan. Nevertheless, that's probably the fight that's going to take place. What is funny to me as I'm still trying to prove my point that Aljamain Sterling is the most random, weirdest man in the world. Because, in the words of Big Money Dana White, he just says the wrong thing at the wrong time and always does the wrong thing at the wrong time. Aljo is still out here calling for a rematch. He just won some sort of a grappling contest over the weekend, and he's still calling for Sean O'Malley, which, all right. But here's the thing. Bro, I thought you was going to leave and let your best friend, Marab, get his shot. And it's like, what I think is funny is that Aljo keeps muddying the waters and saying that he wants a rematch with Sean, fight me, Sean, or fight Marab if he won't fight me. Bro, how about you just step to the side? Like, how about you lead the division like you were supposed to, go up to 145, and let Marab speak for himself and let Marab try to get the shot? Because part of me believes that what's messing it up for Marab is actually Aljo. Yeah, of course, everyone knows the UFC doesn't want Marab to face Sean O'Malley because Sean O'Malley will probably lose. And they're not going to gain anything from Marab as the bantamweight champion. They gain everything by Sugar Sean being the bantamweight champion. But if Aljo would just step to the side and let his best friend, like they keep talking about, try to get his shot, and let him talk and let him try to build up some sort of rapport with Sean O'Malley. So another tremendous word from a dude for Shively, from Louisville, Kentucky, I should say. Shively, if y'all local, y'all know what I'm talking about. Bro, like, step aside, my dude. Let that guy let him do his thing so he can try to get this title shot, But for as long as you standing there, you're like, well, I'd like a rematch against Sean O'Malley, but, I really want that. So that's what I really want, at the utmost. But if he won't fight me, then I would love for Marab to get a title shot. Bro, stop doing all of that. Would you please go sit to the side? Because, this major friendship between you and Marab is not going, both ways. It's not a two-way street. Obviously, Marab is your best friend, you're Marab's best friend, but Marab is not your best friend because you won't step to the side and let the man get the title shot. Now, I know the UFC probably still wouldn't sign the bout anyway, but come on, Aljo, just move to the side, bro. Like, just leave, bro. Anyway, let's move on to the final topic. Final topic is, about a week ago, Paddy Pimblett has been signed to face Tony Ferguson. So here's the deal about this, man. Tony Ferguson was just on the MMA Hour, and he was once again doing his Tony Ferguson thing. Now, all of a sudden, he still broke down from when his original coaches split, and he had to get new coaches, and then he changed locations for training, and then his mind wasn't in it, and then his mind was in it. But his training wasn't up to par. Then his training was up to par, but then he didn't have the correct coaches. Now, all of a sudden, he's got the right coaches, he's got the right team, he's in the right location, and now he's taking trainings extremely seriously, where he basically said before he wasn't necessarily taking training the most seriously. Yet his last fight, he was talking about it was one of the best training camps of his life. We all know fighters lie about it always being the best training camp of their life. But bro, Tony Ferguson has got to stop selling these wolf tickets. Like, stop selling those, bro. Like, I know, bro, that you just don't want to ride off into the sunset. And I'm sure you're getting a nice purse every single time that you fight, But, dude, it's just like, just stop with all of that. He would do better just to be silent and do like a wild kind of video with Ariel where he's just like, I don't have nothing else to say. I'll do all my talking in the octagon. Like, it's like, bro, at this point, you can't keep selling us this wolf ticket because it keeps changing. Like I said, like, you've been on the perfect training camp, so you've said. You've had the coaches. You've changed the locations. You've put in the best work of your life. And then every time you lose, when you get another fight signed, all of a sudden the last training camp wasn't that good. and now I'm really focused. And just stop all of that. Let's just cut right to the chase. If Tony Ferguson beats Paddy Pimblett, it's because Paddy Pimblett messed up. Which is very easy because Paddy Pimblett is not really a super good fighter at all. I guess he's a good fighter, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a good. Well, now I'm going to walk that back. I wouldn't even say he's necessarily a good fighter. He's comparable. You know what I mean? His thing is he's got the star power. Fight wise, he's a comparable fighter. But given what we've seen out of Tony Ferguson out of his last few fights, he looks good in the beginning of the fight, but as the fight goes on, he starts to wilt. So with that being said, Paddy Pimblett should, if he can last the first round and early in the second, if it goes to that, he should be able to beat Tony Ferguson. So if he loses to Tony Ferguson, it's because he truly made a mistake. Now, I'm a Tony fan from back in the day, so that doesn't mean that's not to diminish Tony Ferguson's legacy. But at this point in his career, it just kind of is what it is, dude. So, I mean, if Paddy goes out there and loses, it's because Paddy made a mistake or he's really far, far worse than we all already know that he is. That's the proof is in the pudding, as Floyd Mayweather would say. So it's like, I don't know what Tony... I mean, I know Tony just wants to go out there. He wants to compete. He wants to get a paycheck. I get it. He wants to still show that he can go out there and do it. But I mean, this man's on like a 5 or 6 fight losing streak. So it's like, my dude, I don't know. I don't know how that's going. I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, I don't know how that's going to go down. But I just found that to be interesting when he was telling Ariel that now all of a sudden he's got all of his ducks in a row and he's focused. He's talking about he went and got help from trainers, from this person, that person. And it's like, Tony, you were a superstar. You should have been already went and got help, bro. Like, you were a superstar. It is what it is. And I get it. He spoke about that, training and fighting just wasn't really the same because, he was chasing that great white whale that was Khabib Nurmagomedov. I get it. So you couldn't fight Khabib, so you kind of felt like there was a hole left in you as far as trying to train and fight and everything. But, bro, let it go. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many other opportunities for him, I believe, in the sport, which he's spoken about coaching, about anything that I think he could do. I think... he's a little wild, he's a little crazy, but when you get that calm Tony Ferguson, like he was on the MMA Hour, he wouldn't be a bad guy to have on the desk. Now, he wouldn't be a good commentator, per se, but to have on the desk to analyze fights, he wouldn't be a bad guy for that. So, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how it's going to play out after he will probably take this L to Paddy, and it's going to be sad to see him take that L to Paddy. And I will do a backflip if he's able to go out there and defeat Paddy, because we not fans of Paddy Pimblett over here. But it's just like, Tony, quit saying the same things over and over again. Nevertheless, I just wanted to drop in and, kind of go over a couple of news topics with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all know about the news going on in the MMA sphere right now, in the MMA world right now. You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for checking out another one of my videos. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you agree with this or if you disagree. Or what's your take on Tony Ferguson? What's your take on Big Francis? Like, being all like, I can't believe. Like, stop, Francis. Like, go hire Teddy Atlas. Go hire anybody to help you out. I mean, bruh. Like, because you're going to need it. Like, yeah, Tyson Fury's going to book another fight. He ain't worried about you. Anyway, nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.